So today we will talk about the IGCSE type question, transformation. So look at this one, and you should have a set of copy of it as well. So look at your worksheets as well. So for transformation, they always ask you in two ways. So the first one is describe fully the single transformation, and the other one is to ask you to draw the new shape. So when we go through this worksheet, you should be able to know how to describe them and draw them for all four transformations. So we have four transformation: your translation, where you're moving from one place to another place, and then we will have reflection. So the one that you have a line, and then it's like a mirror, you reflect on the line. And then the other one is rotation. So you can either rotate clockwise, anti-clockwise, and the last one is enlargement. So your shape will become larger or smaller depending on the scale factor. So we have all four transformations. So let's look at this one. So it asks you to describe fully the single transformation which map triangle P onto triangle Q. So you can see that I highlight triangle P onto Q because sometimes they will ask you from P to Q, sometimes they ask you from Q to P, so make sure which one they're asking. So this time they're asking from P to Q. How do you change from P to Q? So when you look at it, you know it's not translation, because it's not just moving the position, but it actually, the shape change a little bit as well, so it tilts a little bit, so it's not translation. And for reflection, you can see it's not mirror, and the shape doesn't enlarge, it didn't get bigger or smaller, so the only one is left is rotation. So then we can just write rotation first. So the first thing you have to spot for your single transformation description is which transformation you're using. So this one is rotation. So for rotation, there's a lot of way to do it. So I will talk about different methods as well. So please listen to all of them, then you can choose which one you want to use. So the first one, we will use our tracing paper. So put your tracing paper, because it says from the triangle P onto triangle Q. So we trace our P, and when we look at it, we have to think, is it rotating clockwise or anti-clockwise? So let's look at it. So this is anti-clockwise, so the shape is different. And if we rotate it clockwise, yep, the shape is same. So this is a clockwise, and you can see in order to change P to Q, I rotate it and they're on the same shape, and you can see my paper, I rotated 90 degrees. So from here to here is 90 degrees. So we can write down the second part, 90 degree clockwise. So 90 degree clockwise. So then the last thing is you have to see what is the center of rotation. So what is center of rotation is when I draw it. Remember, when you draw it, you trace it, you put your pen on one point and you rotate it according to this position. So we have to see this center of rotation. So for example, this part here, now when I use tracing paper to do the full description, it's actually a try and error method. So I plot here, and you can see that it is a bit higher than your Q, and your Q is more on the right hand side, so you have to move a little bit and a little bit lower. So I will try a little bit more. So maybe I try this point here, but before we do that, make sure you put it back onto here first. So put your triangle back to your P. So now this time I will put it lower my pen, and when I move it, oh, almost there, but still not there. So we have to change it again. So maybe I will see if it's this one. So I plot it here, I put my pen here, and I rotate it clockwise 90 degrees. Oh, it is on my Q. So you can see that this is my P, and I rotate 90 degrees is on top of my Q. And here, this is our center of rotation. So here is 0, 0. So center of rotation 0, 0. And 0, 0, we know that is also called the origin. So it doesn't matter if you write origin or not, but remember you have to write its center. But because it's not always the origin, so it's always good to, it's a good practice to just write your coordinates. So center, your coordinates, and 90-degree clockwise and rotation. This is all the things you need for your 3 points. But as I said, there's a lot of different methods. So tracing paper is a try and error method when you're asked to describe fully the single transformation. So if I don't want try and error, it takes a bit of a time to try it, and then maybe we will use a ruler to help us. So the second method, we will use the ruler. So for ruler, we have to look for a point. So this point here, and find the corresponding point on the other triangle. So this point is this one. When you rotate it, you know it's this tip here. So we will draw a straight line in between this point. Then I have to find the midpoint, because after I draw this line, I have to actually draw a perpendicular bisector. So a perpendicular bisector meaning that it's 90 degrees to this point, this line, and also is in between them. So you have equal distance. So therefore meaning that you have to find the midpoint and draw a line on top of it. Draw a perpendicular line on top of your midpoint. You don't have to calculate it, you don't have to use the midpoint formula here, because for this you have a grid. So you just count 1, 2, 3, and it comes to here is the middle point. So this middle point, we draw a perpendicular line. So here you got a perpendicular line, so 90 degrees, and then we have to find one more point. So I'll use this point here. So this point, when you rotate it, is actually this point in this corner. And again, draw a line. And by looking at the grid, find the midpoint. So this is the midpoint, and draw a perpendicular line on it. So this is a perpendicular line. So both perpendicular line, find the point of intersection, so which is here, and it will be your center of rotation. So this is the method you do using the ruler. So draw a line on 2 sets of corresponding points, and then draw a perpendicular bisector lines on those lines, and find the intersection points. Then you get an exact answer without any guessing. So this is the second method. There's another method you can use this. So with this here, again we need 2 points. So we use the original points that we use, and the distance of this thing here, we will choose a distance. So we put this point here, and the other corresponding point is here. As long as this distance is longer than the halfway distance. So this here is the halfway, because this point is here, this point is here, is the midpoint. So this is a halfway distance. We need it longer than the halfway. So when there's longer than the halfway, just draw an arc on top, and draw one at the bottom as well, and go to the corresponding point and draw an arc on top and an arc at the bottom as well. So after this, use a ruler to draw a line. So the point that they cross, and draw a line across it. So you draw a line. So because we used the previous method as well, so maybe I should rub those so you can see it easily, because we have too many lines here now. So this is from the previous method. So we got this, but we have to find another set of corresponding points. So this point and this point is my corresponding point. And again, put it on here. And remember, the midpoint is somewhere here. So as long as this distance is longer, it doesn't matter. So again, don't change your, so this is an arc on the top, and this is an arc at the bottom as well. So make sure you don't change the distance. So this one, don't move it anymore after you draw the first one. Arc on the top, arc at the bottom. And now, so this is the cross, this is the cross. Draw a line in between them. So draw a line across them. And you can see that I draw a line. And the previous line you draw and this line you draw, find the intersection point again. So again, the intersection point is here, 0, 0. So these two lines intersect here. So this is the third method. So this is all the methods I will teach. So try and see which methods you think is easier for you. So you got the answer. So make sure you have all these 3 for the marks. You got 3 marks here. So next part here, let's see. So yeah, we can see everything. So here it says reflect triangle Q in the line of y equals x. So reflect. So it means it's reflections. So again, for drawing, you can use pencil. So in here, you should be using a pen, but because I don't want to change it, so I will just use pencil all the way. So if you forgot how to draw this line y equals x, always draw a table first. So x, you can choose the values from this here. So look at your grid you got. So I will just choose 0, 2, and then 4. So when my x is 0, I put it back into this equation. When x is 0, y is 0. When x is 2, y is 2. When x is 4, y is 4. So I plot them 0, 0, 2, 2, and 4, 4. So after I plot them, I draw a line across them. So draw a line across it. So here I got this line here. Got it? And then now it says draw the new triangle. So this Q have to reflect this line. So again, you can use this. So because some of you think that diagonal lines is harder than this vertical or horizontal line, so you can use this, and this is your Q, and draw this line as well. So this is your reflecting line y equals x. So in here, mirror, right? So you put it here. So for if you use a tracing paper, so mirror. So if you fold it, then you can see. Originally your Q is here, and reflect by this line, then you get your answer. So here you have to use a ruler again. So just draw a line, and of course you can just plot the point first. So this is the point, this is the point, and this is the point. So you can see. So this here, same, and I draw it. So make sure you look carefully on your tracing paper where the point sits. So if you're not sure, put it back, make sure it's on top of it. Yep, it's correct. And remember, it says label the new triangle R. So label it. So please write that out. So you can use a tracing paper for refraction as well. So some of you say, I don't like it. I don't like to use tracing paper. What do I do? For reflection, tracing paper is mainly when you draw your rotations. So for reflections, if you don't use tracing paper, it's fine. So look at this point, how far it is from this line, y equals x. How far is this from this line? So it is basically on the line. So when you reflect it, it is on the line as well. So now look at this distance here. The distance is 1 block. So go for 1 block. Then you can make the cross here. And again, this one here. So 1 block, 1.5. So you can see these lines are perpendicular to this reflection line. So 1.5, so half and 1, so this is the new point. After you got 3 points, you just draw your triangle. So without the tracing paper, all you have to do is count the distance and then do the same distance on the opposite side of your line. So make sure, recognize your line by using a table and then draw it out and reflect it, either using a tracing paper or counting the distance. So this is your first question. So here comes the second question. So the second question, again, it asks you to describe fully what is the single transformations from triangle P to Q. And again, you can see that this one is a rotation again. So rotation. And I have to look at it. So I trace it. And let's see this time. I have to rotate. So see which part I rotate. So this is anti-clockwise. It looks the same, the shape. So it's an anti-clockwise. So how many degrees did my paper move? 90 degrees. So 90-degree anti-clockwise. So see here, and turn is anti-clockwise. So some of you might ask, oh, can it be clockwise? Yes, but see how many times I move, how many degrees I move my paper. So originally your P is here. If I do clockwise, yes, 90 degree, 180, and 270. Yep, I still get this shape here. So make sure you look carefully. So which way it is doing. So both is fine. 270 or 90 is fine. It's just that is it anti-clockwise or clockwise. So 90-degree anti-clockwise for this one. And the last thing you have to do is find the center of rotation. So for center of rotation, this time I will just go straight with my ruler methods. So with the ruler, I find the points. So this point is this point here. Yep. And then what do? We draw a line. And in this case here, we have to find the midpoint of it. So I draw a line, and when you look at it, the midpoint is somewhere here. So in this case, I have to draw a perpendicular line at this midpoint. So to draw a perpendicular line, make sure your ruler, this line here, you can see it's straight with this line. So draw a perpendicular line. So here you go, you got a perpendicular line. And then after that, we find another point. So this time I choose this point and draw a line across it. It's a vertical line, so it's easy to find your midpoint. So go 1, 2, 3, and this is your midpoint. And then draw a perpendicular line. So here's your perpendicular line, and find the point of intersections. And again, this question is the same as the previous one. So center of rotation, 0, 0. So again, rotation 90 degrees anti-clockwise, center of rotation 0, 0, give you all 3 marks. So then after that, it says on the grid, translate triangle by the factor. So translation, you got a column factor and label it R. So in this case here, we go from Q. So this is our Q. So for factor, what does the 4 and minus 2 give you? 4 meanings you have, this is the x coordinate and this is the y. Remember your factor is x, y. So in this case, 4 is a positive, its meaning is going this direction 4 blocks. And this negative 2 is the y, meaning going down 2 blocks. So here, this time I use this point maybe, since the other one is drawn. So this point here, I move 4 times this way. So 1, 2, 3, 4. But not yet, because I have to go down 2 as well. So 1, 2. So this is my new point. So erase this one in case you mix up. So 1 point, and you know that 2 blocks for this. Translation doesn't change the shape. So this is, and then one block, and you can just draw it here. And is it done? No, because you have to label it R. So label it, you got it. So if you think this one you're not sure, you can go to this again. So you have to move 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then go down 2. So 1, 2, yep, it is this point. So your R is correct. So describe fully the single transformation which map P onto R. So how does this one go to this? How did this go to this? So again, you can see that it is a rotation again. So this time, so I got a P here. So this time, again, is what? Still anti-clockwise, still 90 degrees. So rotation, 90 degree, anti-clockwise. But we have a new center of rotation. So new center of rotation, so again, I'm not sure how many of you will remember to bring this. So this method, I'm not going to show again. So I'm going to use the ruler. I think ruler is something you will bring. So ruler, so find a point. So from this here is this one. So again, draw a line across it. So this line here, you have to find the, so you have to find the midpoint. So this is our midpoint. And then one more point, this point here, and when you rotate it is here. So again, find the midpoint of it as well. So here, after you find the midpoint, what do we have to do? We have to draw a perpendicular bisector on it. So let's do the first one first. I forgot to draw it first. So this is the midpoint, and you draw the perpendicular line. So align it with your ruler, make sure it's straight. So I have my perpendicular line, and then the second corresponding point here. So I got this point here, and I have to find the distance, the midpoint. So here, so here's my midpoint. So because I have been drawing so many stuff, so the lines are a bit messy already. So make sure you don't mess up with your stuff. And again, when we look at it, we draw the perpendicular line here. So when we draw the perpendicular line, so here, so here is our perpendicular line. So again, we look for the intersections. So intersections is here. So because this one I didn't draw very accurately, so you can see that is a little bit off, but it should always be exact number where you can read the numbers from the grid. So in this case, read your grid. So this is 5, this is 0, so 1, 2, 3. So this is a 3, and then this is a 1. So this point here will be 3, 1. So therefore, your center of rotation is 3, 1. And if you're not sure if you have the correct answer, what you can do is always put your draw another one. So you can always use your tracing paper to check your answer. So you got this P here, put your pen here, and when I turned it anti-clockwise 90 degrees, you can see that your shape goes on top of your R. So this point is correct. So you can check your answer using the tracing paper as well. So this is about rotation, and when we look at question 3, you can see the shape is different size, and obviously you know that it is talking about enlargement. So here, when I ask you to describe fully, first thing you can write is enlargement. So for enlargement, for this single transformations description, we have to talk about the scale factor and the center of enlargement as well. So for scale factor, look at this. This distance here is 2 blocks. This one becomes 4. So it means that it is enlarged by 2 times. So therefore, the scale factor is 2. And then after that, you have to look for the center. So for center, how do we look? So we only use the ruler. So find the corresponding point. Again, draw a line across those two dots here. So draw a line across it. And then we find another point. Draw a line across it. And usually 2 points is fine, but if you want, you can find more points and draw a line across it, and the intersection point where all the lines cross together is your center. Center of the enlargement is 0, 4. So scale factor, center of enlargement, and which type of transformations will give you all 3 marks. And on the grid, this time it's asked you to rotate 180 degrees about the point here. So you know that it's rotation 180 degrees, and this one is what? This one is your center of rotation. So in this case here, we will use our tracing paper. So again, for tracing paper, for rotation, when they ask you to draw it, definitely you need a tracing paper. So make sure you bring your own tracing paper in the exam. So this time it says rotate shape Q. So let's draw it out first. So you know the tracing paper I gave you last time is like A4 shape, right? So you can always just cut it into half. It's easier to use. So I cut mine into half. I trace my shape Q, and I find the point 6, 2 first. So x coordinate is 6 and 2 is here. So actually they draw it for you already. So you put your pencil here. So, and they said they wanted 180 degrees. So you realize they didn't say clockwise or anti-clockwise. Why is that? Because if we turn, this is 90 degrees, this is 180. So you remember the shape. And if we do it the other way, so just now I did is anti-clockwise. So if I do it clockwise, 90 degree, 180 degree. So you can see that the shape is the same. So no matter which way you turn, for 180 degrees, they are the same. So here I have my shape, and yeah, because I keep turning, just make sure. So this is the shape on top of Q, and now I rotate 90 degrees and they want 180, so 180. Turn again. So your paper should be the same horizontals as original. So now I got this. So make sure you lift it up nicely. Don't lift it the whole thing up. So just lift it up. So look at this point here, and then I draw a cross. So look at the top here. So I draw a cross as well. When you put it down, you can see, oh, my cross are on the right place, and this is the 6. So I draw it here, and the 2. So I got all 4 of them. Yep, they're on the right position, and I can just take away my paper and use my ruler again. So I join those lines together. And after I join those lines, you can see the shape, and remember to label your new shape. So this one, they want you to label R. So you can see that my points are at here, 20, 60, and then 10, -4, and I have 10, -8 as well. Okay, got it? So you got your same shape. So make sure you always trace it nicely and turn it. Okay, so any questions so far? So if there's no questions, then we move on to the next one. So you can see that it's 5 marks already. So question 4. Question 4, it says describe fully the single transformation. So this time you can see it's not enlargement, it's not translation. It's like a mirror. So you can see that it is a mirror shape. So it means that it is a reflection. So we don't need our tracing paper for refractions. We just have to write in what line. So reflection in what line? In the line of what? So how do I know? So it's from this to this, so it means that there must be a vertical line in between. So which line is it? We find the middle point, the midpoint. So from this point here, so to the top point, so find a midpoint, so 1 block, and this is my midpoint. So therefore, you know that it is this line. So this line here, no matter what point you're on, your x is 1. So this line is called x equals 1. So with all this information, you got your 2 marks. So next one, on the grid, rotate the shape P 90-degree clockwise at a point. So now rotation 90-degree clockwise with the center of rotation. So now I will use my paper. So they want P, so here's my P. So I draw it, trace it, and 2 zeros. So here they draw a cross there as well. So now I have to put my pencil here and not moving it clockwise 90 degrees. So clockwise is this way. Your paper from so you can see this rectangle is like this, and when you move it 90 degrees, it becomes like this, and then you got your shape here. So you can see it here. So lift it a little bit, draw those crosses, put it back on. Yep, on spot. Ruler. Sorry, you should be using a ruler. So with a ruler, you got your shape and label it R. Okay, so make sure you do your labeling. So So again, double check. So clockwise, 90 degrees. Yep, you got it. So question 4 is done, 4 marks. Then question 5. Describe fully the single transformation which map shape P onto Q. So you can see that again, it is what? It is a reflection. So you can quickly write down reflection. So reflection is a kind of an easy one. Reflections in the line of what? In the line. So we have to find the distance again. So just pick one point, and then 1, 2, and then this is your midpoint. So midpoint, and draw a line on there just to make you see. It doesn't matter, this line doesn't count any marks, just for you to see. So this line, no matter where you put it, your x will be 2. So your x is 2 here, your x is 2 here, your x coordinate is 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So this line is called the line of x equals 2. So then 2 marks. So refract the shape Q in the line of y equals x. So this time here, you have to remember what is your y equals xo. They're very generous, they draw it for you. So your line y equals x is here. So reflect your shape. So now I have to look at it. So this is my Q, and I have to find the distance. So again, my perpendicular distance here. So this point, so 1 block, so it will be here. So this is my first one. So I got 1, -1, and then this one here again. So 1 block. So use a ruler always. So from this point here, if you look at it perpendicularly, so 1, 2, 2.5, so half, 1, 2, so it will be 4 and -1 for this cross here. So you got this line. After you got this line, so you can see the distance is 2 blocks. So you can just do 1 and 2, and it will be this point here, 1 and 2. So it will be this point here, and again you can draw a line. So, and of course you can always still keep doing the distance thing, but you got 2 points already, so you can kind of guess it. So this one is what? The distance is just 1. So distance is 1, so this is my new point. And after that, you just close your shape. And this one is called R. So again, if you like, you can just use this one. So trace it. So there's 2 methods again for the reflections when you draw it. So usually tracing paper is very useful when drawing shapes for rotations and reflections. And make sure for reflections you have to draw the line as well. So make sure you draw it with your ruler. So I got my line, and when I fold it, I got this. So it's on top of the new shape. So you can trace it and then draw it. If you don't fold it, it's okay. Just what do you do? Flip your paper and make sure this line here align with what you have before. But when you do this flip, because your paper is big, so you don't know which point is which, always also put a point on your line. So when you flip it, you know this point was here. So you put it back, so it's overlap with your line. This point was the point you spot, so 0, 0, and yep, draw it down there. Then you got your answer. So the last part, part C, it says enlarge your S with a scale factor 1/2 at a center of 1, 3. So what does it mean by a scale factor of 1/2? It means that your shape is shrinking a little bit, so it gets smaller. So your center of 1, 3, so find this point first, 1, 3, so here. So how do we do it? So pick a point. I have to go to here from your x. From the x going to this dot here. Actually, can you see it? Okay. Sorry, I didn't realize you can't see it. So scale factor 1/2 and a center. So you plot the point 1, 3 here, and then we pick a point. So from the cross the center of enlargement to this dot here, I have to go up 2, and I have to go all the way here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and now half of it. So it means that I just have to go up 1 and go to this side 2. So I go up 1 and go to this side 2. This is the point. And again, you can keep on doing this with all the points. If not, so this length here is 2, and because you shrink it by scale factor 1/2, so it means that now the length should be 1. So this point here is here, and this is 2. It becomes 1 because you shrink it. So 2 becomes 1. And 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 will become a 2. And this is your new point. And you have all your 4 points, then use your ruler. So in this case here, you can see that they didn't ask you to label it. So what do? You either just draw it, or if you want, you can label it as S dot, or just not label it, because they only ask you for one thing in here. So you can't, they know you're drawing that shape already. So this is enlargement, how you draw it. And then question 6. So we only have question 6. Where's my 7? Okay, here's my 7, sorry. So question 6, okay, describe fully the single transformations of this question here. So which maps the shape P to shape Q. So again, when you look at it, you can see it is reflection. So write out first, reflections, and refractions in the line of what? So this time, look at it. So pick this point. So go 1, this one go 1, and then there's the line here. This is the midpoint. Draw a line across it so you can see. So no matter what points on this line, the coordinates will be what? Will be y equals 1. So this line is called y equals 1. So you can see that horizontal line is always y equals. And then the, just now what we have, the vertical lines, this vertical lines is always x equals. So you can make sure you don't get it wrong like this as well. And then on the grid above, enlarge your shape P with scale factor 3 and center 0. So enlargement, scale factor 3, it means that everything times 3, and the center is 0. So start from here. So when we look at it, so shape P, so P, you got 2 shapes, so make sure you know which shape you're talking about. So when we just erase this so you know. So this cross is the center, 0. And then when x go to this dot here, it has to move down 1 and then move to the side 1, go 1, 1, right, in order to travel. So imagine the x travel downwards 1 to right 1, and enlarge 3, meaning that you have to travel down 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Not yet, because you have to travel right as well. Originally was 1, so 1, 2, 3 again. So this is now new point. So again, if you can't catch it, so this point here maybe. So I have to go down 1 and then I have to travel to the right for 1, 2, 3. So I have to go down 1 and then 3 in order to this point to this point. But now times 3 everything. So I have to go down 3 and then 9. Everything times 3 give you the answer. So go down 3, 1, 2, 3. You have to move 9. So this is your new point. So again, if I look at this point here, so I go down 2 blocks and I get there. So 2 blocks times 3 is 6 blocks. So this time I have to go down 6 blocks for this point. So here, again, I don't have to do all this point every time because this distance is 2. So times 3 is 6. So it means that this distance 2 will become 6 right now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the new point is here. So now I just have to join those lines. And I have my new shape. So here, the new shape, again, they didn't say give it a name, so they only ask you to draw one thing, so they know this is it. Or you can either just give it a name, P dash. Other than that, no other names. Don't give them a new name if they didn't ask for it. Or just leave it like that. Don't even give a name for it if they didn't ask for it. So 7. Question 7. This time they ask you to just write the single transformation. So in this this worksheet, I think this is the first time we see translation by writing it out, I mean. So the description this time is translation. So translation, and you have to have a column factor. So what is our column factor in here? So translation by factor. So remember, x is on top, y is on the bottom. So from P to Q, so this is P. So give me a point here. So find the corresponding point. So this point represents this one. So I have to go that direction. So for x, when I go this direction, is a negative. How many blocks did I move? I moved 1, 2, so negative 2. So this direction to the left hand side is negative. Negative 2, 1, 2. And I go up. Go up is a positive. Up is positive. So going up is positive, and how many blocks I goes up? I goes up 1. So your factor should be -2 and 1. So this is 2 marks. And then here it comes last question. So last question. It asks you to find a single transformation, and you can see quickly the shape enlarge. So it's enlargement. And for enlargement, we need what? Scale factor. So this one is distance is 1, and now it becomes 3. So scale factor is 3. Last thing, center of enlargement. So center of enlargement, what is it? So which point is it? So let's see. So for again, we have to find the point. So use the tip and draw a line across this 2 points. And then find another point and draw a line across it as well. So make sure you hold your ruler steadily. Usually it is a point that is an exact point, you can name it. So this is the intersection. So the intersection, point of intersection. So this is your center of enlargement. So read it out. Please, this is 5. So it has to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 4. Even they didn't label it, please don't write the 5 there. And then again for the horizontal, the vertical y-axis. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is a 5. So it has to be 1 for each blocks. So when we look at it, we can see is 4, 3. So this point is 4, 3, center of enlargement. And then on the grid, it asks you to translate the triangle Q by the factor of this. So translation factor. So Q is here. So let's look at this point here since we draw a cross there already. So -8 meaning, so again it's the xy. So -8 meanings you have to go that way 8 blocks, and it's a +2 here, so it means it goes up 2. So this point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So put a cross here, but not yet. You have to go up 2 as well. So 1, 2. So erase this one in case you thought that is a point. So this is your new point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and go up 2. So make sure you don't get it wrong. And again, you're not sure about it, you can double check it by doing another point. So start with the Q. So this point here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then goes up 2 points. So it's here. So we draw a line. And do we have to do the third point? You don't have to, because this what the distance is free. So distance is free. So we know that the other point is here. So to double check your stuff, this one they ask you to label R. So double check your stuff, you can check this point here, because this point you use the distance to draw it. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and go up 2. Yep, correct. So this one is correct. The last one. Describe fully single transformation which maps triangle R onto P. Sorry, from R to P. So where's my R? Here's my R. This is my P. So shape is different. The size is different. I mean, the size is different, so you know it's enlargement. So it shrink a little bit, get smaller, but it's still called enlargement. Okay, so you got your enlargement here. So move it down a little bit so you can see it. Yeah, you can see the whole thing. So enlargement is here. So scale factor becomes smaller. So distance is 3, and this one is 1. So from 3 to 1, your scale factor is 1/3 because it gets smaller. So it has to be a factor. So 1/3 is your scale factor. So now the last thing is your center of enlargement. So center of enlargement here, so it's the same thing. So once you have so many stuff drawn, be careful. So you can rub out the stuff you don't need if you want. And this point here, so we're talking about the R and P. So this point here and this point, so we draw a line across them. And then find another point, this point and this point. So make sure you draw it nicely. So this and this, and you draw a straight line across them. And then you find the point of intersection. Point of intersections again. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Make sure you draw out the scale if you can't, okay? If you can't read it correctly. So your X is 8, your Y is 2, so it's 8, 2. So I think that's all for this worksheet. So 8 questions, and you can see how to describe fully for the singles transformation for all translation, reflection, rotation, and enlargement. And also you know how to draw them out. So I think I should have shown you all of them. So have a check with the one you haven't got, and then if you haven't done it, then after you revise this YouTube, then you can try the ones that with the past paper year labeled here. So make sure you know how to do your translations and the other topics as well. So this is the end of this section, I guess.